Those of you that are well familiar with the referred producer program, it's been the way that we built our business. Probably referrals is a big way that you built your business. You understand the value of that as we do here at IAMS. If you have a producer that you referred to us, a colleague that you think could benefit from our incentives or services or products, what we do as far as training, things like this, then I hope you'll refer them to us. If they do business, even if they get licensed, we're going to send you a check. But if they get to doing business, then we're going to send you an ongoing bonus for as long as they're doing business with us. Those add up pretty substantially. Those are some of the biggest checks that we send out now. So love those referrals. Thank you for your referrals. Those of you that have been kind enough to do that for us in the past, hopefully you're getting your regular referral checks. And for those of you that have not done that yet, we always appreciate your referrals. We're going to give you a big thank you, but also you're going to get some financial reward as well. I want to make sure too, service is a hard thing to sell, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here, but those of you that are on with us, the veterans, if you will, you know the difference, and our services are only improving. We're only doing more and more for our agents, and what we understand is that by doing more and more for you on some of that stuff that maybe you're not as good at, don't like to do as much, don't have the volume of business where you need to hire that on your own, we take over a lot of that for you, and it frees you up to do the sales and marketing part of your business. And we're going to help you with the marketing side as too. So what we know is that the folks that are good at the sales part are hard to find. And so we value you guys highly, and we want to keep you selling. And so we're going to take as much of this back office stuff as we can. And we're really good at it. I get a lot of compliments from all of our producers on that. So I know it's not something that sells easy. I don't get a lot of guys saying, hey, how's your service? Because everybody says it's great. But I think in terms of the difference it will actually make to your business if you're a producer with us, I think you probably felt that. One of the things that we do is Firelight. That's an EAP solution. If you're not doing EAPs, I hope you'll consider it. Most of the folks that I talk to that have extended to doing EAPs with their clientele, on 70, 80, 90, 100% of their business are really happy with it because it saves them time. It's actually it's a much more professional look. Obviously, it makes sure that you have the right applications, the right forms that you need, which is nice. It gets the business in the system quicker, which is good for you because that's quicker into the system means quicker out of the system. And then secondly or thirdly or fourthly, it's a really nice when, let's say you're doing a piece of business with two different carriers on the same client. When you use our single sign-on for Firelight, then you can just do a little cut and paste of the information. You can't cut and paste signatures, of course, but all that information. So you don't have to redo all that, and it automatically places it in the appropriate parts in the form. So it really makes your life easier that way. When you're using our single sign-on Firelight, so I know you could go to American Equity, or you could go to Athene, or you could go to Equitrust and go right to their website and get on their Firelight. That's what they use as well. But when you go on it through ours, obviously that saves you the trouble of having to go to, it's the same information, obviously, but you don't have to go to their website or go to multiple websites. And like I said, now that business is you can do multiple carriers on one client very easily. Or if a year from now you come back and that client wants to do another piece of business, it's sitting in there. And if it's with another company, that really makes it easy to cut and paste and save you a lot of time. So hopefully you'll take advantage. Doing the single sign-on Firelight takes about 3 minutes. You call up your sales director or anyone here in the office, say, hey, I want to get signed up on your website with Firelight. That registration is really quick. I made mention earlier to our creative team and what they can do. You've been looking at that slide now for a little bit, so you know some of the services that they have available there. Hopefully you'll take advantage of those, so that I think of them as your own personal advertising agency. They're going to do everything they can pro bono. They're going to do everything else at cost, and they are very, very in tune with our business. That's all they work with folks just like you all day long. So they know what you need. They can help you with some stuff, and a lot of the stuff we can take off the shelf and pre-brand it for you and get it out the door. So take advantage of that. And the first step to having that conversation probably runs through your sales director and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Can they help me with that? Want to make sure you're all aware of the website. You can see from this slide what's on there that might be of interest to you. Here's a couple things I'll say. We've got a lot of sales tools on there under the IAM sales library. So that's under resources on our website. A lot of great stuff out there. So if you haven't looked at that, that would be well worth the cost of admission, which the cost of admission is zero, by the way. You do have to register. Eventually you'll find your business will be up on there, so you can check your business on the website, which is nice. But if you want to do a quick annuity search, find a 80 guarantee product for an 82-year-old in the state of Ohio, the best MIGA rate on a 5-year basis with the best comp, you can go in on our website and you can put that in as a search, and you're going to come up with 3 or 4 options to choose from, or 20 or 30 options. That's a nice feature. You can do the same thing with the term quoter. That's a very nice feature as well. You're going to find our annuity grid out there, which most guys love. They keep it in the briefcase, and you can print it out of there. If you call me, I'll get it sent out to you in a pre-printed version. But it's in a lot of forms, everything that you need. It's just a really handy spot. So hopefully you go on and register on a website sooner rather than later. Retirement Analyzer is a nice thing that we do for folks that are associated with IAMS. So there's an expense to that which we take care of. And if you can see before you kind of what questions that the Retirement Analyzer can answer for you. What I will say is the reason that we chose Retirement Analyzer is that it is in terms of the outputs that you get and what you have to put in, we think it's the best combination of those two. So obviously, the better information you put in, better information you're going to get out. But the Retirement Analyzer does a good job of asking just the right questions to get you where you want to be with your client. So, is there a risk tolerance section? Sure, you can go into that. Can cover all their investments in that. You can it'll build out for you kind of a grid where you can say, okay, your client's long here, short here. They need long-term care. They have more money in the stock market than they probably should, given the risk tolerance, and all that is spelled out for them and for you on that final page. So if you haven't used a program like that, it's not something you want to do for your CD clients or F clients, but I think for your A and Bs and some of your C clients, you'll definitely want to take and look at that. And what I would suggest that you do is go in and run a sample on one of your best clients, or run a sample on yourself, so you can kind of get an idea of how it works. I do have folks that just swear by the Retirement Analyzer software, and we're glad to make that available at our cost for folks that are doing business with us. And even if you haven't got to where you're doing business with us, if you want to look at it for a while, we'll get you out a test. We'll get you out a little introductory look at it. So give Marcus or David a call here at our office. Say, hey, I want to look at that Retirement Analyzer. They'll get you out a link. They'll help you through the process and see if that might be a fit for you. It's a great free benefit of being associated with insurance agency marketing services. We also have a wealth management firm, IAMS Wealth, as an RIA, and so the new DOL is what it is. I mean, it's going to require over the next 6, 8, 10, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that you probably offer a different. With your clients, you're going to have to be a little bit more global in your offerings as time goes on. And then the question for you becomes, do I want to refer that, or do I want to do it myself? Obviously, I think that depending on your situation, I think a lot of times being able to do it yourself via having that Series 65 is a really great option. You can see on the screen before you why that is. I mean, obviously it's going to add to your revenue. If you're referring your client to somebody else, there's always a chance, as you and I know, that client can then look to them for other business. And obviously, when they're doing more than a little bit of business with you on multiple fronts, that's going to make them overall a stickier client for you. So here's what I would say, and I'm going to launch a poll here really quick. Do this for us. Beyond all what we just talked about, if you're thinking about getting a Series 65, I would say IAMS Wealth is a great place to start, because most of the folks that are with us with IAMS Wealth, their background initially was on the insurance side of the business, just because that was our background initially. So a lot of our, right now, I think of our top 25, probably 18 to 20 of them have their RIA through IAMS Wealth. So a lot of the folks that do a lot of business, they saw that as an obvious thing. And so we've helped a lot of those folks transition from thinking about just what they can do on the guaranteed side to helping them talk to their clients about what they can do on the non-guaranteed side of their investment product. So we can help you with that. If you maybe have an IAR and you're not happy with your RIA because they haven't helped you in helping you talk to your clients, or they haven't been real useful to you in other ways, the marketing side of your business, and you want to look at what IAMS Wealth can do, I'd encourage you to hit yes on that poll. If I launched it, yes, I did. If, on the other hand, you're happy with your RIA in that regard, and we might not be a fit. I mean, if things are going good for you, why muck things up and just put no on that poll? But on the other hand, maybe. One thing that I hear a lot is our payouts are a little bit better than most. So we pay out just a skosh over 1%, or our advisors earn just a skosh over 1%. And that doesn't go through a grid. So you're not are going to earn 90, 80, 70, 60% of 1%. You're going to earn that whole amount, which I know it can be an issue depending on which RIA that you use. And then finally, their fees are good. What you get for your fees is very high value. Website, the database, obviously all the compliance stuff, your E&O coverage, all that's included with fees. So we're very, very competitive there. So if any of that is of interest to you, what I would say is hit yes on that poll, but you better hurry. I'm going to close that poll out here in just a second. So I appreciate y'all. Wow. You guys are really quick voters. Thank you for that. And I see we have a good share of no's, and I applaud that as well. It's not bad to know what is of interest and what is not. That really helps us. So don't be afraid to put no on that poll. I'm going to give you about another 15 seconds to vote. Those of you that haven't, throw your no on if you want, throw your yes on if you have some interest. That yes will result in about a initial 10-minute call with either Duncan, Charles, or Sarah. And they'll just say, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it, these are the fees, these are our payouts, this is what we can do, what we can't do. If you're thinking about doing your testing, they'll walk you through that process. So we'll order your books and get you set up for your tests and help you through that whole process. And our guys really like that. It's, the studying is just walking through and getting your syllabus down. So, the timings of everything is a big part of it. And we can help you with that as well. So I'm going to close that poll out. Thank you all, by the way. Everyone but one voted. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm going to close that poll out. And we are going to get moving right along because I do want to mention our Top Producer Summit here really quick because I think this is a great trip with great value. So we're going to do a trip. As you can see, we're going to start in Rome and we're going to go down to Venice, Italy, and it'll be a cruise kind of down the Italian coast and up the Italian, Croatian, Grecian coast back up to Venice. So it'll be a great little trip. We're all going to have cabins that are on the concierge level, which is nice. And that means that they're all going to have balconies, which is going to be nice because you're going to be floating by coastline a lot of the time. So that's going to be a really nice cruise. It only takes 4.5 million points to qualify. We've got 18 months of qualification in total, and we still have over a year and 2 months to qualify to do that 4.5 million. All your business counts. It's 1-to-1 for annuity premium. That gives you an idea. And then you get like 11.5 points for your target premium, 1.5 points for your single premium. So everything counts towards that cruise. We're looking forward to having you all aboard there. If you have any questions on that, give us a call, of course. Like us, follow us, whatever, how that all works. There are some things. We've got like our annuity awareness month kit that will likely only be available through our LinkedIn and Facebook, to our LinkedIn and Facebook followers. So take advantage of following us on that. I think you'll love what we have to offer there. I zipped through that like a good boy because I know you guys all want to get to the heat of the information here with the Coach Dave Pemper. If you have any questions, type them in and we'll get them asked and answered. And I see there are a couple. I'm going to answer those in just a moment. Via one-on-one via type back, so you'll get those quickly. Also, I want to take a minute and just talk a little bit about Dave. So Dave has been in the business since the early 80s. He does both securities and insurance, probably 60% securities, maybe a little bit higher than that, and the rest insurance. 60% securities, about 45% insurance. Over 500 plus seminars, been doing radio for 25, 30 years, had a real good background in radio, and we'll talk about that some here today. About 9 years ago, he really delved into Social Security and the opportunities to help his clients using Social Security claiming, and that's really grown his business. He would probably tell you that a single expertise, probably Social Security claiming, has been the most beneficial to him in gaining new clients and helping existing clients. So that's why this has been such a popular webinar, and I think that's probably why you all joined today. You realize that there is obviously opportunity to help your clients around Social Security claiming and to maybe gain some new relationships and certainly make yourself more referable because a lot of people don't have that knowledge. We'll talk about that as well. So I'm going to introduce now the coach, Mr. Dave Pemper. Dave, are you with us this morning? I should probably check and see. Dave, you might be muted. I see you're aboard with us, so you might check in and see if you're unmuted, or maybe he's just stepped away for a moment. So we'll.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good, Dave. How are you?
Good. I apologize for being a little bit late here.
Oh no, you're hardly late at all. I was just getting ready to talk more about you, and I've already talked quite a bit about you. So
Okay, just keep it going, okay?
all the good stuff. All the good
I'm
stuff.
joking.
So there's your picture. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to give you the screen here, Dave, and we're going to talk about Social Security claiming in depth. We'll talk, Dave, as I mentioned earlier, also talk about little ways to display that expertise to people in your area. So really good webinar we have on top. Thank you again for joining us, and let me turn it over to Mr. Dave Pimper.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate everybody. We got a bunch of folks here on a Friday, so that is wonderful. Maybe it's raining. It can't be golfing today, but I appreciate you being on our webinar. We've got about a half an hour here, so at by 10 till we'll be opening up and answering all the questions and so forth. And again, I want to appreciate the time you're taking. When you're a producer, advisor, agent, whatever you call yourself, we're salespeople, and nothing happens without the sale. It's almost like selling is a bad word these days, but I'll tell you what, people just don't market, don't advertise, and just see if they knock your door down. They don't. I mean, you got to go after it. I've done this for 40 years. Last night was my 540th workshop since the early 80s. I had a Social Security face-to-face workshop on Wednesday, and I had one last night on Thursday. My goal is to get at least 10 appointments, and sure enough, interesting enough, I got 10 appointments, and I was very, very happy with that, especially coming out of the pandemic. And we marketed it to Fremont, which is a town of 26,000, and that's tough to have that small of a marketplace. But we've got a great Facebook third-party vendor. He's very good at what he does. He's actually taken through the years coaching at a very high price with the actual people from Facebook, and so we've gone from hard mailings, which still absolutely can work, but to Facebook. I think Social Security plays a vital role. I know one of the guys in the first seminar on Wednesday, he came up to me. It's about a small town of about 1,500 people, and he's retiring at the end of June. And he comes in, he goes, well, Dave, there's two things I want to talk to you about. I'm going to bring my wife if that's okay. I said, absolutely, because he was there by himself. He said, first of all, I do want to know when the best time for us to claim as a couple is. And the second thing is, just like this, he says, I have no idea what to do with my rollover, with my 401k. And he said, can you help me with that? And as I get excited, I say, yes, I certainly can. That's part of the expertise that I have. But the reason he came was not because of the 401k. The reason he came because he wanted information on Social Security. So we, meaning Dave Pimper's coach, I don't work for the FMO. I don't work for IAMS, though they're a very good FMO, privately owned. Same owner, Charles Hiring, who started IAMS, Insurance Agency Market Services, in '86, is there day to day. Steve Murray, who is my cohort today on our webinar, he's been there for 25 plus years. He's the CEO. He runs a lot of the day to day now, and it's fun to work with them because they truly understand that if it wasn't for the producer, they're not going to make any money. It all comes down to the salesperson. And how you get in front of more people, you have to have some kind of marketing or some kind of advertising to implement, some type of a program to implement. If you're very, very good at asking for referrals and you can do it through that, most people can't, that's wonderful. I'm a big seminar guy. I'm a big radio host guy. Right now, we've got my son runs the Medicare side of our business, which we run everything through IAMS on that again. But the Med Sup, Med Advantage, Indemnity, Part D, what happens is that we're mailing out mailers right now, and those mailers are bringing in. I mean, we're getting 1.2% right now, and we're pretty darn happy about that. So we're a believer of it's a pay to play. If you pay for the correct kind of marketing, you can go in and have the correct kind of lead generation, the correct kind of prospect, the correct kind of appointment setting, which leads to business. So let's talk about Social Security. Why you, the advisor, should understand, or the agent should understand Social Security claiming. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel more than happy to go in and to type it in, and I'll be more than happy to go in and to answer those questions for you. Let's read this. It comes from Sarah O'Brien from CNBC. Most retirees get little advisor help on Social Security. Listen closely to those words. I'm reading it word for word. A majority of older Americans get no professional advice about a key part of retirement planning, Social Security, even if they work with a financial advisor, a recent study concluded. Shouldn't surprise you. Only 12% of all financial advisors, and I'm talking about independent like we are, or captive like Northwestern Mutual of Omaha, Prudential, Aetna, any of the folks that work, captive for the company, the big brokerage firm, UBS, Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones. I mean, most know nothing. Any lawyer, CPA, a banker, very few really understand Social Security. So it puts you into a rare realm when you really understand Social Security. Okay? Here's a test. We're going to take a test for the fun of it. Go back to school. I don't care how old you are. Let's go back to school for 5 Social Security claiming questions. I did this word for word except for in the blue. I said, how about you, the financial advisor agent? But it's a Social Security test only 1 in 300 could ace. I took it. I aced it. One tricky question, but I aced it. Well, let's see how you do, okay? This is from SimplyWise, which is an online Social Security, an online financial website. Okay, so here we go. Answer each one of these questions, please. To maximize your monthly Social Security checks, at what age must you claim benefits? Okay, to maximize your monthly Social Security checks, at what age must you claim benefits? Put the answer down. You know what the answer is? It's not full retirement age. Interesting. Tricky question. It actually is age 70. It keeps on growing and stops growing at age 70. Unless there's COLAs, but we're not counting that. It grows, the most it can grow is the age 70. See how you did there. How about the second question? What's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? What's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? Okay, write the answer down. Here we go. 60. You take as early as 60. Now there is a discount. It's discounted 28.5%, so you get 71.5% of your benefit, but you can take it as early as that. Different than when the earliest you can start for an individual benefit, 62. Question number 3, does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to qualify for spousal benefits? Does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to qualify for spousal benefits? Okay, write the answer down. Here we go. They do. You can't take half of theirs if they're not taken, only when they're taking. Question 3, can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? It's a yes or no answer. Can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? Write it down. Yep, they can, if 4 stipulations are met. To get this question completely right, you need to guess 2 of the 4 stipulations. So, do you know what the stipulations are? What are 2 of them? Write down or say the 2. Okay, here's what they are. See if you get 2 of the 4. First of all, you have to be married at least 10 years or longer. You're currently unmarried. Your ex doesn't have to be unmarried. They can be married, but your ex has to be at least 62, and the divorce had to have been at least 2 years or longer ago. If those four things line up, then you can go in and act as if your spouse is still married. You're married to each other, even though you're divorced in the eyes of Social Security. If you got two of those right and you answered yes, you got the question right. Last question. Are you eligible for survivor's benefits if you're divorced? Are you eligible for survivor's benefits if you're divorced? Okay, here we go. Answer. Yep. If those four stipulations are met, remember you got to guess two of the four, and I'm going to give them to you. But the divorce or the marriage lasted at least 10 years. You're currently unmarried, not this ex, but you, the one taking it, currently unmarried. You could have been married before, even after you're divorced, but now you currently have to be unmarried when you claim. Ex is at least 62. Divorce was more than 2 years ago. Okay, how'd you do? Well, I'll tell you right now. If you got 4 or 5 correct, you know quite a bit, unless you just guessed at it. But if you got 1, 2, or 3, yeah, you probably need some help. You can answer with more confidence, and that's what we offer. I mean, there's 3 different ways to get Social Security coaching through us. I mean, Dave Pimper, and I coach for IAMS. I'm a producer, just like you are. I mean, I'm out humping it. I did business this morning. Had it wasn't a big deal, but an existing client. We'd already done a 1031 exchange out of a 401k about 2 years ago. And now she's retiring here within the next couple. Well, she's turning 65 within the next couple months. Actually, it's the next in June. She's turning 65. So I got my son Sam involved for the Medicare side. But I also went on in and we did another 1031 of about 62 or 3,000, which is the majority of her 401k while she's still working. I mean, this is what you do. And she came in from that one came in from a Social Security seminar, which a lot of my people do. All right, so here we go. Hopefully you did okay on that test, but if you didn't score 4 or 5, yeah, really think about, do I need coaching? There's 3 ways. One is through Retirement Boss Radio marketing. One is through Social Security seminars marketing. One is just a la carte, no marketing. Don't want to spend the money on marketing, which I favor, of course, but $800 and you have 4 sessions and you can use me at any time you want to really understand Social Security. From Jana Heron, USA Today, I took it word for word. The title's "Doing This One Thing with Your Social Security Could Mean Losing $100,000 in Retirement." My gosh. Bullet point 1. How much does claiming Social Security at the wrong time cost you? Bullet point 2. Retirees will lose an average, not on the high side, but an average of $111,000 in income per household over their lifetime. Why? Pretty simple. Because they took Social Security benefits at the wrong time. And bullet point 3, overall only 4% of retirees took Social Security at the financially optimal age. You know what else that means? 96% of them got it wrong. Gosh. Just leaving money on the table. So let's do a little bit of, let's do a little bit of history lesson with Social Security. First of all, the act came into being in August of 1935 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was called the Social Security Act. First funding check was in 1937. First check written, which they wrote checks then, was to Ida Mae Fuller in 1940. In the beginning, for quite a few years, the only date you could take Social Security was age 65. Interesting enough, the average longevity back then was 62. What a great deal for the government. And remember, in 1950, There were 15 people working for every one retired. Today, 2.9 people working for every retired. Yeah, odds have really gone down. We're a much more aging society. 1961, with JFK, President Kennedy, they reduced you could take as early as 62, but if you took earlier than full retirement age, then you've got a deduction. The good point is you got the income now, but there was a deduction. And then soon after that, a few years, they raised from 19 to 65 years old or 66 up to 70. If you wait longer, you get more. And if you think, hey, all you got to do is just wait longer and you make more, it isn't that simple. I mean, I maximized out our Social Security. I put it in the software. We did everything. My wife took it 62. I'm waiting to 70. We maximize our Social Security that way. I believe Social Security claiming is the worst corporate water cooler talk there is. Hey, Dave, I took Social Security at 62 and you should too. Hey, Dave, I took Social Security at 70 and you should too. That's like saying, hey, Dave, I love the color violet, and that should be your favorite color too. It's ridiculous. Everybody's situation is unique, isn't it? And that's how you figure out what's the best for them to take Social Security. Social Security was never taxed until 1983. Up to 50% of your benefit, if you make enough, up to 50% of your benefit is taxed. We'll talk about that here in a few slides. In 93, new law was passed, up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed. There's always going to be 15% that is tax-free. So every Social Security benefit is tax advantaged to some degree. You hear a lot of FMOs that come on out because they're trying to bring you in from a teaser ad, but they'll say, look at the brand new Social Security reform, all the brand new laws. There are COLAs, cost of living, and your full retirement age does change. But besides that, no, not very often. 2015, the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015, they did away with file and suspend over 6 months, and they phasing out over 8 years, which we're in the 7.5 year mark right now of the restricted application. But besides that, no major reforms. The last one is in 2015. If you got a question, type it in. So you got to ask yourself, how important is Social Security? It's darn important. Almost 60% of all retirees count their Social Security benefit. It's really as the major source of income. More than retirement plans, more than personal savings, more than pensions, which of course is something that's dying. Here's Social Security 101. I tell you, if you know nothing about Social Security, which I've been in the business for 40 years, I started on July the 9th of 1981, July the 9th of 81. It's a long time just to be in the financial service arena. But how much did I know about Social Security 12 years ago? Nothing. Virtually nothing. And I learned because I had so many people ask me about Social Security, I got tired of referring them out. But here's the basis of Social Security. There's 3 ages or dates that are key, are very important to Social Security. It's the earliest age you can take an individual benefit, age 62. It's the latest age. If you don't take at this age, you just lose the benefit. That's age 70. So there's 8 years that you can take from 62 any day up to 70. And then there's an age in the middle called full retirement age, FRA. If you're born from 1943 to 1954, your full retirement age is 66. I was born in 55. And if you figured it out, that means I'm 66 right now. Okay? Well, my full retirement, I was born in April. So next month, I'll be at my full retirement age. What does that mean? That means you get your full benefit, not your biggest benefit, but you get your full benefit. Or sometimes you'll hear you'll get your normal benefit. It's not reduced. It has not gained delayed retirement credits. And a lot of people, most people take on or before full retirement age. Okay? If you're born 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. A child born today at the local hospitals, full retirement age is 67. The oldest, the oldest for full retirement age is 67. That'll probably change in the time coming ahead, but not now. I say that Social Security can have a huge value, but it says by maximizing, by claiming at your right time, not the right time, not a right time, but your right time, because it's like snowflakes. Everyone's situation is different. When I say situation, what do I mean? Just to name a few. Oh, it talks about longevity. It talks about DNA in the family. It talks about how much you need the money now. It talks about what does your retirement accounts look like, savings and retirement. How about if you have other income streams like pensions or real estate? All those types of things and a lot more play into whether you should take Social Security and when. How to maximize. Only 4% of the people maximize their benefit. Last year, there was a net increase of $3 billion off of $2.9 trillion coming in. And when you hear about the Social Security going bankrupt, it can't go bankrupt because it's a pay-as-you-go system. 6.2% for payroll taxes comes in by the employee. 6.2% comes in by the employer. 12.4%. It's a pay-as-you-go system, and that has covered all of the expenditures for benefits since 1983. But you know what? The pandemic year of 2020 will probably run a deficit. And now I think we're going to run a deficit every year. If there's no change in the Social Security laws, I think we'll run out of money. Well, the Social Security Administration says we'll run out of money in 2035. I think because of the pandemic, more people took Social Security. I bet it's closer to 2033. That's only 12 years away. What happens if the trust fund runs out of money? That 2.9 gets diminished to zero. There's still money coming in because of the payroll taxes. Last year, about $1 trillion. Actually, this is 2 years ago because always a year in arrears. Last year was $931 billion, I think. But there still was more income than expenditures at 2019. But 2020, I think will probably run a deficit. You'd get between 75 and 80% of your benefit if we run out of money in the trust fund. So when it says go bankrupt, they don't mean Social Security won't be a benefit. They mean the trust fund cannot supplement, and that's what it's there for. So will the government do something? You darn right they will. They're stupid if they don't. Maybe they won't. I'm joking. Of course they will. But it's a political hot potato. If you're a Republican, you would probably go in and raise the ages. If you're a full retirement age or the 70 age. If you're a Democrat or in that camp, because this is what's up right now in front of Congress. So I'm not just saying probably. I know this is the truth. There's several plans that are up in front of Congress right now. Democrats are more apt to tax. Okay? And there'll probably be some kind of compromise between the two. If you got a question, type it in. I'm going to be more than happy to answer those for you. So it is a pay-as-you-go system, payroll taxes. And you only pay up to $142,800 this year. That increases if there's a COLA, cost of living adjustment increase. Last year was $137,700. This year's $142,008. Yep. Above that, you don't pay taxes on Social Security. So there is a maximum that you can get from Social Security. Does the U.S. borrow from the trust fund? All of it. They never used to, but they have for years. All of it. There's special issue treasury bonds that they buy, and then the government sells those, pays off debt in other areas of the government, and they issue IOUs to that. And that doesn't bother me. The credit rating of the U.S. is very high. We're known as one of the strongest in the world. What backs the dollar bill in your pocket? Not gold, not silver. Certainly not Bitcoin. What backs it? IOU of the U.S. government. Full faith and credit. Same thing that backs Social Security. So, as long as there's cash, you're going to have Social Security. And remember, Social Security was never started back in 35, first check in 40, never was started to go in and to be your full retirement income. It was supposed to supplement other incomes in retirement. And in today's day and time, between 40 and 50% is supplemented. But get a load of this. Between 40 and 50% would be on poverty row, truly, if there wasn't Social Security. Pretty wild. So let's kind of figure out Social Security benefits. You need 40 quarters of coverage. That's 10 years. It's the earnings over your working career, how much you make and at what age you start. So yeah. So I mean, if you start later, it's going to be bigger. If you start earlier, it's going to be smaller. You need 10 years of work. It's $1,470, which is $5,880 in a year. You get the max you can make is 4 credits. If you get 40, you get a benefit. That's also set up, if you don't have your Social Security benefit, you don't get Medicare either. Okay? I think your highest 35 adjusted years, adjusted for COLA. It's not a Ponzi scheme, not at all. Okay, now let's go forward here. Yeah, if you apply early, it's discounted. Up to 25 or 30% if you take as early as 62. If you wait longer, it's going to grow. It's going to grow up to 32%. So 32 or 24%, it's going to grow. All right? So that's a pretty big deal. Guaranteed to grow 8%. You throw 1.3% cost of living on there this year. It's 9.3. Where can you get a government guarantee of growing 9.3%? You can't. I'm a believer. We just went through the individual benefit, and I'm going through quite quickly now. But if you're coaching with me, no, we go through much slower. We either have 3 coaching sessions or 4, depending on the program. But the nice thing is that you can use me as long as you're contracted through IAMS, doing some business through IAMS. You can use me forever. I get calls every single week. Probably most days I get calls, or I'm doing some kind of workshop like this on Social Security. So few people really understand all the ins and outs. I mean, there's 2,700 rules. Do I know them all? No. Do I know all the big ones? Yes. But here, if you know individual benefit, spousal benefit, survivor benefit, divorce benefit, and restricted application, if you know those 5, I'll tell you right now, you can answer 80, 85, 90% of all of the questions that come in. So let's talk about spousal benefit. And I go through it much slower for coaching, of course, and we role play. But PIA stands for primary insurance amount. Let's say Dave's is $2,400. That's the amount at full retirement age. So say he's 66. Amy's primary, or full retirement age. Amy's is $1,000. Dave takes his. Amy takes hers. Dave gets the $2,400. Amy has an option. She can take all of hers or half of Dave's, whichever is higher. What's higher? Half of Dave's. $1,200 beats 1,000 by 200. In the Social Security eyes, she gets 1,000 of her own benefit and then 200 top up of a spousal benefit. What happens if Dave doesn't want to take the 70, but she takes it 66? Amy does. Can she take 1,200? Nope. Remember, that's one of the quiz questions. Dave has to take his for her to have that top up. How about Dave's a doctor, high income earner? Amy didn't get her 40 quarterly credits in. She was a stay-at-home mom and volunteer her whole life. Once Dave takes his, now Amy can do what? Take all of hers, which is 0, half of his, which is 1,200. She can get 1,200. That's how a spousal benefit works. Let's talk about divorce spouse benefit. And a lot of this is left on the table. What are the 4 stipulations? The marriage had to last at least 10 years. You're currently unmarried. Not your ex, but you are currently unmarried. Third thing is, your ex is at least 62, and the divorce was at least 2 years ago or longer. That's the case. You can use your ex, and your ex can use you. You can go back and forth, double dip on this one, the few things you can, as if you're still married to them. Why is that important? Married couples have many more benefits than single couples. That benefit's left on the table all the time. My wife always says nobody gets out of here alive, and spiritually it may not be truthful, but it certainly is truthful when it comes to physical. Everybody dies. Who normally dies first? The guy does, 75% of the time. So you got Dave has a $2,000 benefit. Let's say Amy's is $1,200. Dave dies first, which is normal. The guy dies first. Amy has an option. She can take all of hers, or she can drop all of hers and take all of her spouse's. She has the option. Can't get them both. She's going to get one or the other. What happens if she doesn't jump up here, which she should, because she gets an extra $800? She just loses that money. Is the government going to mail you something? No. Not with an individual benefit you have to request. A spousal benefit is done automatically. A divorced benefit, you have to request, and a survivor benefit, you have to request. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's biblical. And you're going to lose money if you don't ask. What's neat about survivor benefit or divorce survivor benefit, you actually can take as early as 60. There's a deduction of 28.5%, but you can let your other benefit grow, whether it be your own benefit or the widow's benefit. Whichever one you're not taking, it continues to grow. And there's no deduction when you take that out. That's pretty cool. If you're divorced and your ex is dead, I call that the grand slam home run in the ninth inning to win the game. You got all kinds of options. A lot of it is left on the table, and the Social Security Administration, they probably like it. According to spousal benefits, and this gets a little bit trickier, but a bipartisan budget act changed this. Spousal spend was phased out quickly. Restricted is still going on, but the person requesting has to be born on January the 2nd of 1954 or earlier. So if you're not basically 67 and a half years old, almost 67 and 5 months old, you can't do this. But if you're older than that, the X doesn't have to be, just 62. Then you can do this. So let's talk about how this works. I just found a couple about 3 weeks ago, $27,000 with restricted application and retro benefit. So here's how it works. Dave's PIA, primary insurance amount, is $2,400, and Amy's PIA is $1,000. And I will tell you this. I had someone type in and said, Dave, you're going too fast for me. I'm trying to get a lot of information in this. For the next, I'll be done here in about 5 minutes. But when we're coaching together, I slow it way down. I ask a lot of questions. The coaching client asks a lot of questions. We role play. I get you attachments. There's a great book to read. I call it the Bible of all Social Security claiming books. I read it once every year. I used to read 3 books. 3 books went out to all my coaching clients. I had them get. I've read over 25 Social Security seminar books. This one by far is the best. And when we're training, I want you to read through that. But here's how restricted application works. Dave, here's both. Let's say full retirement age, $2,400. Amy's is $1,000. Amy takes hers. Dave's going to let his grow. Well, that's fine. He gets delayed retirement credits of 8%. Amy gets hers. Full amount because you didn't take early. Easy. But if you restrict it, it looks just the same, except there's an extra $500 in there for you. Amy takes her $1,000. Dave's going to let his grow. But he now lets Social Security Administration that he's going to file a restricted application, restriction only to the spousal benefit. So actually, he starts his and then stops his. His continues to earn the delayed retirement credits just like he's always going to do, but because of restricted application loophole, he's able to reach out and get a spousal benefit of half of Amy's $1,000, which is $500. It's an extra $500 coming in to your household per month until you turn 70. How great is that? That's free money. So 500 times 12 months is 6,000, $6,000 a year. So in 2 years, you're going to get $24,000, and that's what I got. More than $24,000. It was about $25,000 that I got. This couple had no idea. They would have, in Social Security Administration, can't give you advice to do that. They can't scenario plan like this. And I'm not saying you're going to understand all of that the first time you hear it, but what a cool benefit. You know what the Social Security personnel can do and can't do? They can give your highest benefit right now, what you're entitled to. They can't talk to you about restricted application. They cannot give you advice. In fact, on their claiming guide, called the Program's Operational Manual System, POMS, look at D there. Provide enough information so that claimants can make informed choices, but do not give advice. Is that bizarre? It says consider all your income streams. So I consider that there's 5 pillars of income for income streams. But Social Security is not a standalone stream. It most of the time it is the most flexible because you decide of when you started, claiming at your right time. And don't forget the break even, because my mom, she's 97, she's been living off my dad's survivor benefit for 15 going on 16 years. Here's the 5 pillars: working wages, part-time, full-time, pensions if you're still lucky enough, income producing assets. That's where we make the money from investing with that, putting that into fixed index, going into IUL, fixed, whatever it is. But income producing assets, IRAs, 401ks, Roths, savings, real estate, etc. RMDs on traditionals are now at 72, and Social Security. It's really, how does it fit into those 5 pillars? So when do you claim? Well, the bottom said there's a lot to consider. There's a lot of different kind of benefits. So as we're finishing on up here, and Steve in a second will bring on a slide that if you want more information, you'll just mark yes. And Dave Corbin will call you, and he tags you up right then with our office, and we get a good time for you and for myself, not one of my associates, but myself to talk with you. But seminar marketing, I just got 10 appointments in a town of 26,000 yesterday. I'm telling you, Social Security seminars are back in the majority parts of the country. Retirement Boss Radio, I'm averaging over 10 appointments. Actually, it's quite a bit more than that per month. Per month. Those are set appointments. It's hosting your own radio show. We just put a fellow up in a large city on the West Coast. We're looking at another city in the Southeast. I'm telling you what, there's just a lot going on with radio now. If you've ever considered radio, we coach you up on Social Security at no charge on both of those, seminars and radio, paid for by the FMO of IAMS. Thank you, IAMS, for my client. 4 Social Security coaching sessions. You don't want any marketing? Yeah, you pay me $800. I'll coach you up on 4 sessions, 45 minutes to an hour, give you all the attachments, and you can still contact me anytime that you've got a question. If you don't know Social Security, you should. There's so many ways. That gal and her husband, who was not with her, but that I found her $27,000. Part of that was $3,000 on a retro benefit. If she did it, she should have claimed restricted back in January, and she didn't until May. So I got her another $3,400. That's how it came to $27,000. She had all of her statements in her hand. This is true story. All of her statements in hand. Looks at me and she goes, "I want to do something bold, Dave. I want you to be my advisor on all my investment accounts." That's what she said to me. And that originated 2 years ago from a Social Security appointment where there was nothing there. And I said, when you claim your Social Security or when you get close to retiring, certainly give me a call. She did. Here we are. It all was around that Social Security seminar. Pretty amazing. So there's no saying. It says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Tomorrow never comes, does it? No. I've never had anybody in my 40 years of this business say to me, "Dave, you cannot believe how much money I made from procrastinating. I got rich from procrastinating." No, you know why? Because people who procrastinate normally lose out. The winners are the people who take action. So Steve's going to put up, yes, I'd like a consultation, or no, I wouldn't, okay? It's on Social Security. This is not a hard sell. This is to see if Social Security could help your business, or marketing seminars or Retirement Boss Radio, and then learning Social Security at no cost to you. I mean, the program has, but the coaching, which I normally charge $200 per session, IAMS pays me for that because they know how important it is. Or if you just want to a la carte it at $800, no marketing, yeah. But if you don't know Social Security and you're working the pre-retired or just retired crowd, my gosh, how can you not understand and really understand the true meaning and understand how Social Security claiming works if it's the major part of their income in retirement? So, Steve, I'm going to hand this over to you. I'm sorry. It seemed like I was going through a lot of material pretty quickly, but of course, when I'm coaching, we tone it way down, and so you really get to understand it. But I'm going to open up because I know there's some questions that came in, and then we'll call it a day. And I appreciate everybody being with us. or I think Steve's going to get on the phone.
Thanks, Dave.
So there, yeah,
Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself.
okay,
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of questions that have come in, and we're going to get to all of them. You might take a few minutes, if you would. You better talk a little bit more about radio and the seminars, because most of the
hmm
questions, I want to say 6 of the 10 questions, are about seminars and radio and how's it cost and how do I get information on. Can you go through maybe just in a bit more detail what we're doing with radio and seminars as it pertains to Social
sure.
Security claiming?
Yeah, well, I'll just give an example. Normally, we want more population than 26,000. Okay, and that's with our last my seminar Thursday night and last night. But but I want to do I do a couple, two or three in my hometown. Then almost all my other months are in Omaha because I got so many more people to mail to. And I say mail, it's actually Facebook. But it's $2,500. Our vendor charges $2,500 to market. It doesn't make a difference if it's a small market or a big market. He charges $2,500. And in today's day and time, that's pretty reasonable. And I hardly ever have under 10 appointments. And yesterday I had exactly the day before between the two nights. I had 10 appointments, and I was very, very happy with that. I've had I've had over 30 appointments from multiple times over 25 in Omaha, where there's more people to, of course, to mail to. What happens is that we do it through Facebook marketing, and it's amazing of how many people, and there's more women on Facebook than there are men. And we get yesterday it was split about half and half. You know, the day before there was about split, but it seems like in Omaha we get a few more women. But you know what? So many of those women either they're divorced or their husbands have passed. And there's so many things we can help them with Social Security. I got a $1.7 million account on a gal that you know her husband had passed a year and a half ago, and she didn't want to make an emotional decision, but she came in for Social Security, and we ended up working with that money. It happens. I mean, it happens a lot, and it's a main way that I do it. With that, we also use Social Security. Now, if you don't know Social Security, we coach you. If you know it, then we just brush it up on there. But most people don't really understand the ins and outs. We do it. You get the PowerPoint. You get free software, Social Security claiming software. That's very good, free for 3 months with a code. If you want to pay for it after that, it's $30 a month. We've worked a deal out with the vendor. You get all my attachments. I mean, you get a video of me giving the seminar. It's a turnkey, and then I coach you. If it's Social Security, I coach you for 2 sessions or 3 sessions of Social Security, and then part of that session also is about the workshop itself. We handle that all within our office. All with Lynn, Natalie, Amy. They're the ones that my administrators, and mainly Lynn. She's the one that really handles the seminar folks. Retirement Boss Radio. I have a show on every weekend. It's a big station, big Rush Limbaugh station in Omaha, and Retirement Boss Radio is proprietary. I brought it to IAMS. IAMS said, let's market this. They wanted me to go in, and I had been on radio before for many, many years. And then I did a ending market report, and then I came back with this, and it was very successful. And we've had great fun with it. And those are set appointments. It's recorded, and it goes into a call center when people call, a live call center, and they set the appointment off of electronic calendar that we both have, so we don't double appointments. And again, we coach Social Security on that also. IAM stipends me to do that. They know important. About 35% of all the questions coming in, the appointments, the money written, were started and originated with questions on Social Security. It's a great way to market. Remember, 96% of all people have a Social Security benefit. That would be 70 million. Last year, 5.5 million new people going on Social Security. And how many people really understand it? Less than 2% of the public and less than 12% of the financial advisors. That's why you can become the star. You can become the person that really understands Social Security. So those are the 2 ways, Steve, we can market, and I do them, as you know, either week in, week out, or month in, month out, without you know, I've just had Well, you know how my calendar is because
I do.
you know me. I mean,
Yeah,
it's loaded up. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. In fact, just to give you an idea, after this workshop, Natalie said, "Well, I want to let you know, Dave." She said, "Of the next 7 business days, 6 of them are we just say take no more appointments. Dave is maxed out. That's how we just got all. That's between the Timer Boss Radio, my clientele, and seminars now. Yep.
Well, what more could you ask for than that? If you're in our business, to have just a regularly full calendar of clients and prospects that you're talking to, that is Nirvana. And so,
Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Some of the questions are regarding expenses, and so it's going to vary a little bit. Certainly with radio, it kind of depends on the station, but you're probably, I would say, on average, our folks that are doing radio, they're on 4 times per month for about an hour, and that expense runs about 4,000, 3,500, 4,000. Depends a lot on your market. Could be higher, could be lower, but think about that. So for about $1,000 you're on the week, and you're getting, Dave, right now your appointments I know are higher than what you're really comfortable saying, because we don't want to have bizarre expectations, but certainly the
We just
pandemic.
talked about that, so don't
I
say
know.
the number. I mean, I
No.
do more appointments than that, but you know what? I've done this for a long time. I'm pretty good at what I do, but it takes a little time to get it going. But if I get 10 appointments with a month, which I've done for a long time on radio, I'm happy. And those are set appointments. You're not setting them. You're not calling them and haranguing them and bugging them. That's all set by the call center. So, and I'm telling you, when they right away when they set the appointment and they press that button, it comes to my email, and my show's on from Sunday from 12 to 1, and lots of times after church I go golfing, and I'll hear my phone ding 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 ding, and all of a sudden it's appointment after appointment. I mean, it's just like Christmas in May. I mean, it's in it isn't just a perfect system. Nothing's perfect, but I'll tell you what: if it's a pay to play. If you pay for marketing, you'd like to get a return, and in both seminar marketing that we have anyway, and the Retirement Boss Radio. Steve, we just put on a really nice producer that was pretty loyal to his past FMO, and they had no radio. And in the beginning, he really didn't want to. He flew, not many do this, but he flew on out. But he saw the operation, what I had, and what IAMS had, and he made the change. And the change was because we had a radio platform that works, and that he really thought was impressive. So if you've never thought about radio marketing, when you start thinking about it, and you say 4 times a month, 5 months have 5 weeks
5 times a month.
a month. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so when you start talking about being on radio for an hour and building that brand, and you know this, Steve, and not bragging, but you've seen it before where someone comes up to me on the golf course and said, "Didn't I just hear you on the radio?"
Mhm.
I mean, it just builds a brand. So we really like those two marketings in particular, really to build those uh, uh, appointments for our producers.
Yep. Yeah, and when you look at the appointments that we get from that you're able to garner from your seminars and from your radio, I would say it seems like the number of appointments is per dollar spent is probably similar. Maybe you get a few more appointments on the seminar side, but I think you'd say your radio appointments are maybe a little bit higher quality. And of course, one
You're right.
advantage of
Yeah.
radio is, besides actually getting the appointments, you're also getting more name recognition. So it's likely to build, if you're doing seminars and radio, it's likely to get you more people at your seminars as well. So they really
Yeah, I
work
agree.
well
I
together.
agree.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like, what's the difference between, I mean, an apple and an orange, or an orange and an apple? I mean, what happens is, I think that radio has a little higher net worth person that we work with, but we seem to have a few more appointments with seminars, but they complement each other. You're fishing with 2 lines, marketing lines instead of one, which is a nice thing to do. But if
Gotcha.
you're not doing any marketing, one of those would be great, believe me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, and I know there are some other questions out. I've looked at our list of folks that voted yes, that they'd like to chat with you. It looks like everybody that had some of those more individual questions that we always
Okay.
get are have all set appointments with you. So David will be calling you shortly. And if that's the only one thing you want to talk with Dave about, he's glad to talk with you about that. And if you want to talk to him about your marketing in general, Dave is glad to talk with you about that. The reason that we enjoy our association so much with Lazarus Coaching is that Dave really enjoys the process and really enjoys helping producers. If he didn't, I don't know that it would be worth it to him, or maybe it wouldn't be worth it to us. But when you've got somebody that's interested in your success, that's a nice thing to have when you're starting a new marketing vein for your business. So we really like that. So Dave is certainly willing to take some time with you. And I always tell folks, hey, you set that call, you set that appointment, and you're going to get a nugget or two. I've never had anybody that wasn't happy with the call they had with Dave, regardless of whether they decided to do seminars, radio, Social Security, or any of the other coachings that you offer. So it's time well spent for you. As hopefully you found today's webinar was time well spent for you as well. A lot of folks join us on there, a lot of veterans, a lot of folks that we've done business with in the past. So thank you for that. I think there is a lot of interest out in the landscape right now on Social Security claiming and how to get in front of people. So I certainly appreciate everybody taking some time out of their busy schedule to join us. I'm going to close that poll out right now. Dave, is there anything that you want to say as we're closing up here today?
Yeah, I was thinking when you kind of finishing, Steve, I'll say three quick things. One is a lot of advisors say, well, how do I make money from Social Security? Unless you charge for it, which we don't. But knowledge is power, and people know that very few people have that kind of knowledge to give them that information. And the assumption is, hey, whether it's true or not, hopefully it is, hey, if they know that much about Social Security, which no one else does, I bet they really know a lot about helping me with my money. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Steve, things are opening up right now for seminars, aren't they?
Yes,
It's
they
starting
are.
to get hot as a pistol. I
Yep.
mean, we've done workshops down in Texas. We've done it up in Connecticut, in Florida, in Kansas, Nebraska now, because that was my first one coming back. But I will tell you what, you're normally a month and a half to 2 months out. Things are opening up even more before you do your first one. Yeah, seminar marketing is coming back strong. Don't watch that train go by. Get on it and get the benefits of getting in front of more people.
Absolutely. And we both know that seminars around Social Security, even if you haven't never done seminars, that's going to be the easiest entree into the seminar business. There's no
Yep. Yep.
food, there's no, it's you're kind of
All
teaching.
educational.
Yeah, it's real
Yep.
educational. So if that's of interest to you, please. Everybody's hit yes on the poll, so you're going to have opportunity to talk to all these folks,
Good.
Dave,
Good.
which is great. If anything else comes up, certainly don't hesitate to give us a call here at the office. I know there were some other questions that we got answered regarding academies and retirement analyzer, but if there's anything that comes up we can help you with, give us a call here at the office, 800-255-5055. Dave Corwin will be calling you shortly to set up your time with Dave. And as always, the team here at IAM stands ready to help you with your life business, your annuity business, your med sup business, your long-term care business. If you're looking for wealth management, IAM's Wealth can help you with that. So thank you for taking some time on a Friday. If we don't have opportunity to talk, have a great finish to your week and have a great weekend as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.